So the fourth day of our time together, October the 4th, we are going to be looking at two chapters today, Matthew 10 and Matthew 11. So read those chapters, come back, and we will have our commentary. All right, beginning in chapter 10, Jesus is sending out his 12 apostles, his disciples, out into the countryside, out to going out to the cities to preach and teach. In verses 1 through 4, he gives their names, and then beginning in verse 5, he gives them instructions for going out, and this continues through the whole chapter. All right, so in verse 8, Jesus gives them power. He gives them authority to heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, resurrect the dead, and to cast out demons. This is something that he gave them, that they were able to go and do. They had the authority from on high to do those things. He reminds them, though, in verses 9 and following, that they need to rely on God, not worrying about taking plenty of money or enough clothes and all of those things. He wants them to let God provide. So in verse 20, Jesus reminds them that as they go, they are going in his power, but also that whenever they stand up to speak and whenever they are called before authorities and that sort of thing, he says, it is not you who speak, but the Spirit of your Father who speaks in you. He reminds them also in verse 22 that because of this message, you will be hated by all for my name's sake. But he who endures to the end will be saved. The encouragement that Jesus gives is to stay with it, to hold true, no matter what's going on. Keep doing what you're doing and endure to the end, because salvation lies in faithfulness. Now, he says in the verses following, verse 26, 28, and 31, do not fear. He's just told them that they're going to be hated by the people, but he says, do not fear. He says that 3 times. He reminds them in verse 33, whoever denies me before men, him I will also deny before my Father who is in heaven. And then in verses 38 and 39, and he who does not take his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who finds his life will lose it, and he who loses his life for my sake will find it. Jesus' encouragement, again, is to follow him. Take up your cross, follow him. Discipleship is a decision that you make. It's a commitment that you make. And whenever you follow the Lord Jesus, you are fulfilling that discipleship, that commitment. Chapter 11. John the Baptist sends a few folks to Jesus to ask him the question, are you the Messiah? He was really looking for confirmation. He knew Jesus was, but there he was. He was in jail. So Jesus assured those that were with him by saying, hey, so you see the blind that are gaining their sight, the lame are being healed, the sick are made well, all of those things. And he sends them back to John with that message. And then Jesus praises John before the people in verses 7 through 19, talking about who John was. He said he called him the Elijah to come in verse 14. And by saying that, not only was he was praising John or in announcing his station, but he was also saying to the world, the Elijah to come has been here, so then the message is that he's the Messiah, that Jesus is the Messiah, that John came to prepare the way, that he was the Elijah to come before the Lord to make straight the paths of the Lord, and then Jesus comes on the scene and announces that. In verses 20 through 24, he pronounces woes on unbelieving cities. He says those who would not believe the message, those who would not believe the signs of the healings and different things, then they were going to be as bad as Sodom and Gomorrah. They were going to be overthrown. And Jesus closes out the chapter by saying, come to me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. God bless you. Have a great day.